On a quiet summer evening, Naomi looked through the window of her small country house and saw incredible purple-pink shades blooming above the green foliage of the trees in the sky. The strange colors made her think about what was happening in the world. Thanks to her work in the scientific laboratory, Naomi was well acquainted with the indicators of the composition of the atmosphere on the planet, and something unusual was happening. As the days passed, oxygen levels in the atmosphere began to rise sharply. First, it was discovered by satellites, and then scientists around the world confirmed this unusual trend. The percentage of oxygen in the atmosphere increased to incredible values, reaching an indicator of 50%. Emergency commissions have been set up to study this phenomenon. The scientific community was in a state of excitement. Environmentalists, biologists, physicists, and chemists began to actively discuss the possible consequences of such a drastic change. Some predicted that this could lead to radical changes in the state of nature and life on Earth. Naomi, despite her doubts and worries, took part in experiments to study the changes around her. Her laboratory was the base for research on how the new composition of the atmosphere affects living organisms and the ecosystem of the planet. It soon became clear that an increase in oxygen concentration inevitably affected biological processes. Plants began to grow faster and become healthier. Animals showed unusual signs of activity, and people felt full of strength and energy. However, not all the consequences were positive. Creatures adapted to lower oxygen levels began to have trouble adapting to the new conditions. For them, the new atmosphere was a real challenge. The disappearance of some animal species has become a sad reality, and scientists around the world have gathered to find ways to preserve the planet's biodiversity. Naomi was one of the leading scientists in this process. Her research helped to understand how the new atmosphere affects different ecosystems and how negative consequences for peaceful cooperation between species can be mitigated. The scientific community has focused on creating new technologies and methods to preserve vulnerable species and restore balance in nature. It was a joint effort of all scientific disciplines and countries of the world aimed at preserving the planet's ecosystem and maintaining its living environment. Over time, adaptation to the new atmosphere became more successful, and the problems associated with changes in the composition of the atmosphere gradually decreased. New species of animals and plants began to appear, developing in new conditions and enriching the biodiversity of the planet. And although it had been a long time since the beginning of this unusual transformation, Naomi remembered the day when she saw the sky filled with purple-pink iridescences and realized that a new chapter in the history of the Earth was beginning. And her pride in the efforts of her colleagues and her own role in this process always reminded her of the importance of scientific research to save the planet. This is how the story ended about the times of change, about the challenges and opportunities of a new era that came to Earth with a change in the breathing of the atmosphere.